came from the country and I was a young gardening apprentice at Melbourne Zoo. So I wanted to do what I had done my whole life since I was a small child, which was grow my own vegetables and fruit coming from the Goulburn Valley. So I put in lots of stone fruit because I was used to having all my own fresh fruit and veggies. That's what we'd done. And then I had other further considerations like trying to shade the house from certain directions to help keep the afternoon sun out or the morning sun. So I planted or directed vines and trees. And I also wanted to filter the air in the city because I found it difficult to come to terms with the much more polluted air. Even in Pascoe Vale South on the top of a hill like I live, the air is a lot cleaner than say down in Brunswick where I come from, where I'd lived for years. I still found the air quite smelly and quite unacceptable. And so I wanted to have lots of trees around me, lots of vegetation to give me oxygen to have around me when I was sleeping or when I was home, because it's so important for your health to have green plants and trees around you. So, and the trees have really filtered the air. The air is really quite clean here around the house. It's really lovely. Edible gardening in the shade specifically, which is what we're kind of talking about today, is not really that complicated. So that's why I've tried to list some of the things that are really, really easy to grow. So Babago is really easy to grow. Strawberry guava, easy to grow. They require no specialist pruning or knowledge. After a couple of years you might need to learn what you're meant to do with regard to pruning, but they will grow themselves if you just plonk them in the ground. Yellow cherry guava, feijoas are easy to grow. Alpine strawberries are easy to grow. These are not difficult plants to grow. They're the ones that you could try and tackle. Or kale, for instance, that will grow in some shade, prefers full sun, but it will grow in some shade, and it will grow with very little water. So these are all really hardy plants. They're not that difficult. Flatleaf parsley will grow in shade, and it doesn't require a lot of messing around, and you can just let it self-seed. It's bringing in pollinators with its flowers, and then you throw the seed around the place, let it come up all over the place, and use it as an edible weed. So I'm not suggesting difficult plants, to be honest. Any edible garden does need to have a healthy soil, so you need to always begin by making sure you need some biodiversity. You need diversity in the soil microorganisms, which you gain by adding compost to your soil and lots of organic matter. So composts, manures, straw that rots down, dead leaves, and keeping water up to your garden. If you let your garden get really, really dry, you will find that I find the microorganisms do tend to die off a lot, and the soil will become a bit bereft of worms and other good insects. So you need to keep a certain level of moisture in your soil, I find. So you need to think about that, whether you're accessing your water with grey water or tanks in the times of drought, or just being really judicious with your watering when there's no drought. But you also need to have a biodiversity of plants in your garden that will help bring in beneficial insects for pollination and for insect control. So you'll have a healthier garden without having to be as worried about it and as stressed about it if you incorporate a big range of flower types, I should say. So large flowers like nasturtiums, small flowers like mints, medium tubular flowers like agastaches or salvias. If you're having a range, Agastache funiculum, there's only one agastache that grows in the shade. Some salvias grow in the shade. So pineapple sage will grow in some shade, as will fruity sage. But having a big mix of plants, a big mix of flowers, I should say, will help you have a range of beneficial insects in your garden. So that's what the key to everything is in having biodiversity. If you're trying to just grow one of this or one of, only rows and neat. If you're trying to emulate monoculture, horticulture, where everything is of the one type and in a big block, you will run into trouble. So by mixing things up, and this is not going down a very prescriptive companion planting idea, because I tend to be a lot more freeform with my companion planting. I just like to mix up a whole range of plants together that have a range of flower sizes and colours and shapes, and a range of scents around in their foliage, and I find you get the same result with regard to companion planting. So that's my much more free-form approach. So it doesn't make it very complicated. It doesn't make it prescriptive or difficult for a first-time gardener, to be honest.